Vyapuram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupaswarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam Vasudevasutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sarvebhyo Namaha. Welcome to this session. So, I was saying that we are in the middle of the 15th chapter now. We've been listening to the Bhagavad-katha also. We have listened to the first part of the liya-mardana-li in the last session. Going forward, let me just mention once that we listen to Bhagavata-katha because it not only entertains us and makes us feel good, but it also refines and transforms our consciousness. As we hear it, we associate ourselves with the qualities of that pure being, Krishna, that pure universal consciousness who is 100% genuine, whose thoughts are perfect, and with whom we want to associate for our own perfection. So, Bhagavad Katha is a means to create that association. So, we've been listening to Sri Krishna Leela from the Dashama Skanda of the Bhagavatam. And in the last session, like I just mentioned, we heard the first part of the liya-mardana Leela. I will just review what we heard and then we will continue with that Leela. So, it begins with Krishna and his Gopa friends going to the bank of Yamuna and they drink the water of the Yamuna. And this time, they don't know that it has been poisoned, so they fall unconscious. But by his very kind glance on them, Krishna revives them. And they get up and they look at each other in astonishment. They don't know what has happened. Now, a question that comes is how did Kalia happen to come there and what does it affect? Does his presence do there? So, Kalia's presence is one of extreme poison because he is filled with poison. He's a snake and his poison is very dangerous. He's not just an ordinary snake, but a very poisonous snake. And this extremely powerful poison makes the water effervescent. Vapors come out of it and they kill even the birds flying over that water. The droplets carried by the wind, they kill the grass and the plants and the trees and other animals which are not even in contact with the water. So his presence in the kunda is a great nuisance. So the story goes that once, there was a conflict between two wives of the Rishi Kashyapa. Vinata. Vinata is the mother of Garuda, the Vahana of Vishnu. And Kadru is another wife of the Rishi Kashyapa. And she is the mother of the Sarpas, the Nagas, the snakes. So Vinata and Kadru have some ongoing conflict. And knowing this, knowing that his mother has an ongoing conflict with the mother of the Sarpas, Garuda eats any Sarpa that he finds in an unrestricted manner. So these Sarpas or these Nagas, they go to Brahmaji and they request his help. And he then mediates between them and there is an agreement which is reached that they will have one Sarpa for Garuda every week. Every 2 weeks, every Amavasya. But Kaliya opposes this and he offends Garuda by eating his offering as well. So then there's a conflict between Kaliya and Garuda in which Garuda strikes Kaliya very hard. Kaliya, unable to take that pain, is injured and then he flees from that place, which is called Ramanaka Dvipa, and goes to a kunda. That kunda or a pond is part of the Yamuna water system in Vrindavan. So he goes there and he takes refuge in that kunda. He knows that Garuda will not come there because Garuda has received a curse from Saubhari Muni that if he comes there, then he will be killed immediately. and therefore Kaliya feels safe in that kunda. Now Kaliya is poisoning that kunda and also the surroundings around it, and Krishna takes note of this. So he's very deeply concerned. When Krishna speaks the Gita, he says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata, abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Whenever there is adharma here and there are wicked beings, wicked people trying to pollute the environment or trying to create life, make life miserable for the other living beings, then I personally come, paritranaya sadhunam, to protect the saintly people, vinashaya cha dushkritam, to eliminate or destroy the wicked people, dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So now, keeping this Kaliya in the forefront, Krishna decides to take action. So what does he do? He climbs a tall Kadamba tree next to that kunda and straight jumps into that kunda. So his jumping disturbs Kaliya. Kaliya is not able to tolerate this, so he comes out and he attacks Krishna. He sees a tender little child, very beautiful. We read this shloka last time where Krishna's beauty as a child is described. It's intensely beautiful. But Kaliya's heart is so wicked that the beauty of Krishna does not have any positive influence on him. So he goes and he bites Krishna's chest, the chest of that little child, in great anger and envelops Krishna in his coils. So, seeing this, the Gopas and the cows who are with Krishna on that day, they are shocked and they become extremely distressed and they fall to the ground senseless because they see this huge snake has captured their most dearmost friend and they are not able to take it. For them, Krishna is not merely a friend actually, he is their all in all. His life, their life actually is always in him. They're always thinking about him and they cannot imagine living or existing without him. So, when this happens at the same time in Vraja, or the place where Krishna's house, his parents live, and the other Gopas and Gopis live, that's also today called as Nandagram. So, in that place, very fearsome omens are observed, and the people there, like Nanda and Yashoda and others, realize that Krishna has gone without Balaram. He has gone alone with the cows and the gopas, but without Balaram's presence. So they suddenly become scared that something might have happened to him and we may not see him again. But Sri Vyasdevji mentions, but they did not know who Krishna really was. But Balaram knew that. And so he just smiles and he keeps quiet. So then what happens? The Vrajvasis, they start searching for Krishna. How do they search? They try to find out where he might have gone. They look for his footmarks and they very easily spot his footmarks. It is described in the Shastra that the footmarks of Bhagavan are always marked with certain symbols. So, the symbols of barley grain, symbol of a cow, the symbol of a lotus flower, a goad. A goad is an instrument used to control elephants, a thunderbolt, a flag. These symbols are present on the feet of Sri Bhagavan. And so when he walks, these footprints are imprinted on the ground. And so if you are able to locate that footprint, you know that Sri Bhagavan has walked there. So they are able to identify these footprints and they start tracking them. And they find that their path is going towards the Yamuna. And his footmarks are mixed with those of the others and the cows. So they know that they are going on the right path. And as they approach the Yamuna from a distance itself, they can see Krishna is completely bound and motionless in Kaliya's powerful coils. So they can see a huge snake with numerous hoods and coils. Kaliya had 101 hoods. And with those hoods and those coils, he's not sort of completely enveloped Krishna, and Krishna is completely bound and motionless in those coils. And they also see the gopas with whom Krishna went in the morning. They are lying unconscious and helpless on the ground. And the cows and the calves are bellowing in great pain, great distress. They don't know what to do. So, seeing all this, the Vrajvasis are very shocked. They are highly in disbelief. They are very disturbed. And the gopis who are watching this, for the gopis, Krishna is extremely dear. He's more dear to them than their own life. So, seeing this scene, they become completely life. They feel as if everything has become lifeless. So Yashodama being a mother, you see, the mother's emotions for her child are always such that a mother is willing to give up her life to save her child's life. So when she sees this, Yashodama immediately prepares to enter the water herself and rescue Krishna from the hands of the snake. And the others there, they try to console her and give her courage, and they tell her that no, wait, don't do this. In the past, something has saved Krishna. He has been in very difficult situations, but something or the other has come and saved him. And therefore, this time also, something will save him. Don't worry. But Krishna is also his father Nanda Baba's life, right? For him also, Krishna is extremely dear. So he too prepares to enter the water and rescue his child. Again, there, Balaram is there. He stops them and he says that please wait, nothing will happen to him. Uh, but it's very difficult to pacify them in that situation when you see your own child in a very dangerous situation. If somebody comes and tells you, don't worry, nothing will happen, you will not be pacified. So, all the eyes, everybody is now looking at Krishna. They don't know what will happen next. They're all looking at him, his tender, lovely face. He's completely caught up, looks like very small in the presence, in the hands or in the hoods of a huge snake. And there is enormous suspense. So, what happens after this? So it's described by Sri Vasudev ji that Krishna stayed in the coils of Kaliya for one muhurta. One muhurta is a time period that's approximately equal to 48 minutes in today's time scale. So in today's, you can say, measurement of time, 48 minutes or so approximately. And Krishna, as he's in the coils of Kaliya, and Kaliya is trying to harm him, he becomes aware of the anxieties of the Vrajavasis. He knows that the Vrajavasis who love him so dearly and he loves them also very dearly, they are now extremely anxious for his safety and well being. So, what does he do? He begins to expand his body rapidly. He starts expanding his body rapidly. So, as he expands rapidly, Kaliya is unable to hold him anymore. So, he loosens, his coils loosen up, and he releases Krishna. And immediately upon releasing Krishna, his eyes are red with rage and his mouths are spewing fire. So he repeatedly attacks Krishna with his hoods. With all his hoods, he attacks this person because he has never encountered a human being of this type for whom he had to loosen. He would always kill any living being that came to him. But now there is one living being which is causing him trouble, and it's only a small child of a human being. So he is very angry and he attacks Krishna with his hoods. Now, Krishna is not going to stay still and get attacked, so he dodges Kaliya and he dodges him very playfully and very rapidly. Not slowly, but very rapidly, he dodges those coils. Now, to keep up with that dodging, Kaliya's heads, they are charging at Krishna repeatedly, but they have to change their posture again and again, right? Because Krishna himself is changing his posture, he's moving here and there in the hoods of Kaliya, and Kaliya, has to also adjust to that. So he is also moving rapidly, trying to catch Krishna and bite him again. So Shri Vasudev ji describes like this. He says, Evam paribramahatau unnatamsam anamya tat pritushiraswadhiruda adyaha तन्मूर्धरत्न निकरस्पर्शाति ताम्र पादाम्बुजोऽखिलकलादि gururnanarta. So this is a description of Krishna, how Krishna moved about in the coil. So it says that Kaliya paribrama hatau jasam means owing to that constant moving, he was continuously trying to adjust his posture and trying to find Krishna and bite him again. Owing to that rapid movement, which was caused by Krishna himself moving here and there, Kaliya lost all the ojas in his body. Ojas means that strength or that energy, that Shakti. So all his ojas had drained out by that. So evam paribramata hataujasam unnatamsam, who had big heads, and whenever he raised their head, Krishna anamya means he pressed it down. Anamya means having pressed it down. Krishna pressed down the head. Whichever head he tried to raise, Krishna just pressed it down. Tat Prithushirassu Adhirudha Adyaha. Tat Prithushirassu Adhirudha Adyaha. Krishna is referred to as Adyaha. Adyaha means the original person or that ancient person. He is the Adi Purusha. So what did he do? He very quickly jumped up, having pressed down the hoods of Kaliya which were trying to come up. He jumped up on the heads of Kaliya. He jumps up on the heads of Kaliya and he stands there. Then what did he do? Tan murdha ratna nikara sparsha atitamra padambujaha. Means the heads of Kaliya actually had jewels in them. And because those jewels were all adorning the heads of Kaliya, and now Krishna was standing on those heads, his lotus feet became further red. Already his feet are pinkish in color. They are lotus-like in color. But now, with the reflections of the jewels coming from the feet, from the heads of Kaliya, Krishna's feet became even more red. They became coppery red. Padambujaha, his lotus-like feet, became even more coppery red in color. What did he do? Akhila Kaladi Guruhu. He is described as Akhila Kala, Adi Guruhu. Akhila Kalanam Adi Guruhu. He is the original Guru or the master or the teacher of all the fine arts that exist in this universe. He is the original Guru of those fine arts, all music, dancing, everything. So such a personality who is the original Guru of all the fine arts like music and dancing and everything, he began to dance. Nanartha. Nanartha here means he danced. So standing on the heads of Kaliya, Krishna, who is an expert in dancing and music and fine arts and everything, he began to dance on the heads of Kaliya. So my translation, owing to continuously changing position, Kaliya's energies were sapped. Then Krishna, who is the original being, the Adyaha, pressed Kaliya's raised Unnatamsam means raised shoulders of Kaliya. Krishna jumped on the head of Kaliya, on the heads of Kaliya. His lotus-like feet touched the assemblage of jewels on Kaliya's heads and thereby appeared coppery red. Then Sri Krishna, the Guru of all art, danced on those heads. Sri Vyasdev continues. Tam nartumudyatam avekshya tada tadiya gandharva siddha municharana devavadya vadvaha pritya madanga panavanaka vadya gita pushpopahara nutibihi sahasopaseduhu. So this spectacle was not observed only by the cows and the calves and the gopas and the gopis and Mother Yashoda and Father Nanda, but by the devas, by all the divine beings who are observing him all the time. So when they saw Krishna starting to dance, his dear bhaktas, they are all his bhaktas. That's why the word tadiya is used. Tadiya means those who belong to him or those who have accepted him as their all in all, their bhaktas. The Gandharvas, the Siddhas, the Munis, the Charanas, and the young ladies in Devaloka, Deva Vadvaha, Vadhu Vadvaha, began to sing his praises with affection, the accompaniment of instruments, mridangas, panava, anaka, vadya. You see, these are all different types of instruments used in our culture. Mridanga, we know, is a kind of drum. Anaka is a kind of drum. Vadya is a kind of a trumpet. Similarly, panava is a kind of musical instrument. So different kinds of musical instruments they were using, and they were singing his praises with so much love. They were so happy to see this. And with flowers and other offerings, they immediately came and approached him. They wanted to be close to him. And they saw this wonderful spectacle of this little child Krishna dancing on top of the numerous heads of the huge snake Kaliya. Then what happened? Yachiro namatenga shataika shirshnaha tattan mamardha karadanda dharong gripataihi kshinayusho bhramata ulbanamasyato srik Nasto vaman paramakalmasham paramakashmalamapa nagaha. So now Krishna is dancing vigorously on those heads, completely tired out that Kaliya snake, because Krishna was dancing so vigorously, the hoods of Kaliya were trying to attack him, and they were emitting poison. They were poison was coming out of them. He was trying to somehow or the other bite Krishna, but he was not able to. And in the process, he became extremely tired. Shrina means his life, all his life energy was sapped, came out, and his nose started bleeding. Krishna here is referred to as Karadhanda Daraha. Karadhanda means it has two meanings. One is a sharp stick, and the other is a lotus flower. So Karadhanda Daraha means one who holds a lotus flower. That is one meaning, which refers to Krishna. And another meaning is one who holds a sharp stick, or one who is a very, uh, you know, very strict punisher for those who are offensive. One who punishes very severely, very severe punisher for those who are offensive. Okay, one who holds a sharp stick. So Krishna is referred to that, and by the feet, Angripataihi, by his footsteps, Kaliya was completely exhausted. All his life energy was sapped out. And from his nose, blood started coming out. The nose, the nostrils on his large faces. Ulbanamasyataha means his huge faces. Uh, Profuse bleeding began to come from the nostrils. And Vaman means vomiting. He became extremely miserable and dejected. Kaliya had 101 heads. Whichever head it did not lower, Krishna, who holds a lotus or holds a sharp stick, suppressed that head with his footstep. Thus, Kaliya's life force depleted and his mind whirled. He bled profusely from the nostrils on his faces, and he vomited and swooned and became extremely dejected. तस्याक्षिभिर्गरलमुद्वमतः शिरस्सु यद्यत् समुन्नमति निःश्वसतो रुषोच्चैः नृत्यन् पदानुनमयन् दमयां बभूव पुष्पैः प्रपूजितैव पुमान् पुराणः. So he was actually, it is described here, emitting poison. Karalam means poison. He was actually vomiting poison from his eyes. Okay, that's the description given here by Sri Vasdevji. He says vomiting poison from the eyes. It could also be taken to mean that his eyes were looking at Krishna with so much hatred. Okay, vomiting poison can also mean not actual poison, but hatred. So much hatred he was looking at Krishna with. And Shirassu Yadyat Samunnamati means whichever heads were not bowing down, Krishna was pushing them down. And Krishna, when he pushed it down, he was exhaling with great anger. O Kaliya. So Nrityanna Padanunamayanna means by his dancing and by his pressing of the feet, Krishna completely suppressed that snake Kaliya. And because of all the spray of poison and blood that was coming out of his mouth, it appeared as if flowers were being offered at the lotus feet of God. You see, normally when we go to a temple or we perform a puja, when an archana or a puja is being performed, or when we chant the Sahasranama of Krishna, the Ashtottara Shatanama, then we offer flowers or tulasi leaves. Each time we chant a name, Om Krishnaya Namaha, we offer one flower. Om Kamalanathaya Namaha, offer another flower. So, as a lot of people are doing this together, we see a shower of flowers being offered to his feet. So, it appeared now when Krishna is dancing vigorously on the heads of Kaliya, and Kaliya's hoods are very frantically, vomiting, spraying blood and poison on his feet. It appeared as if flowers, see, Vasudevji described it so beautifully, as if flowers are being offered at the feet of Krishna. In that miserable state, Kaliya vomited poison from his eyes and exhaled loudly and repeatedly in great anger. Whichever of his numerous heads he raised, Krishna stepped on it as he danced and pushed it down. The spray of blood and poison made it seem as though Krishna, the ancient person, was worshipped by a shower of flowers at his feet. तच्चित्रताण्डवविरुग्नफणासहस्रो रक्तं मुखैरुरुवमन् नृपभगवन् भग्नगात्रः तच्चित्रताण्डवविरुग्नफणासहस्रः रक्तं मुखैरुरुवमन् नृपभग्नगात्रः Smritva charachara gurum purusham puranam narayanam tamaranam manasa jagama. So this describes Kaliya. Kaliya is described as a person here who, because of the Tandava dance, Krishna's dance is compared to a Tandava Nritya. Tandava, we know, is associated with Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is very ferocious and aggressive and very rapid dance, very fast performed with very rapid movements, aggressive movements. The dance of Shiva, which is connected to also the destruction of this universe at the end, the Pralaya, right? That is said to be the Tandava Nritya of Shiva. But here, that word Tandava is used for Krishna because it was actually bringing about the destruction of Kaliya. The Tandava Nritya that Krishna performed, and Chitra Tandava means amazing. It was fabulous. It was magnificent. Chitram means amazing, something absolutely amazing or awesome. So that awesome Tandava Nritya of Krishna, because of that, Virugna Phana Sahasraha, his large number of hoods were all broken, were completely shattered. Raktam Mukhair Uruvaman means his from his mouth blood was spewing out in large quantities. He was vomiting blood in large quantities from his mouths. And he was Bhagna Gatraha, means his whole body was broken. So in that condition, what did he do? What did Kaliya do? He could not do anything, but he did something that was actually very, very fortunate upon him. Smritva charachara gurum purusham puranam. He remembered that original Purusha, that ancient personality who is the guru of all the living and non-living beings. Of all living beings, the person who is the guru of them, who is that? Narayanam. He remembered Narayana, Tam Aranam, Manasa Jagama. So that great ancient personality, that pure personality, um, Kaliya remembered. Smritva Jagama means he took refuge in him. In his mind, he said, there is absolutely nothing I can do now. So he remembered Narayana and he said, I will now take his shelter. He prayed to Narayana, please help me. Please, please help me. Please give me your kindness. O king, Kaliya's numerous hoods were severely injured by Krishna's fascinating Tandava dance on them. He vomited blood in large volumes from his mouths, and his limbs were broken. At that time, he remembered the ancient person Narayana, who is the guru of the moving and non moving beings, and took refuge in him with his mind. So, what happens after this? So we know, like we heard in this shloka, that because of Krishna's enormous weight, Krishna is actually the abode of the entire universe. It is said that the entire universe rests inside him. Although he appears to us like a small child, the entire universe actually rests inside him. Kaliya's body is severely damaged. And Kaliya has several wives. They are also watching this. He has a large number of wives and they are feeling very miserable. They're feeling very distressed. So they seek refuge in Krishna. Their hair is scattered and their dresses and their ornaments are in disarray because of the pain that they are going through. So they keep their children in the front and they approach Krishna and they plea for the release of their husband. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 16th Adhyaya of the Dashama Skanda of Bhagavatam, from shlokas 31 to 53, in 23 shlokas, the prayers that they offer to Krishna to please be kind on their husband, where they, acknowledge his wickedness. They say that they don't try to defend him. Instead, they say that yes, he has been very wicked, he has been very cruel, but we think that he must have done something good in his past life because that is why he has managed to get your feet on his head. Otherwise, it's not so easy, right? So many yogis are trying, so many people want to offer their head at your feet, but they are not able to do that. Uh, but now Kaliya is able to get your feet on his head, and he must have done some great punya in his past life, must have done something very good to someone, and you have blessed him because of that. So please pardon him, please spare him, don't punish him anymore. So when they offer all these prayers, and Kaliya also is watching and hearing this, Kaliya realizes that the person who's actually punished him is not an ordinary human child. It's not an ordinary human being, not to speak of being a child. So he himself begs pardon from Krishna and seeks forgiveness for his cruel deeds. So then Krishna orders Kaliya to leave Yamuna immediately and return to his original dwelling, Ramanakadvipa. And then he assures him that don't worry, because my footmarks now on or on your head, even Garuda will not kill you. Garuda is my servant. Garuda is my Vahana, right? So he knows moment he sees that my marks are on your head, he will also leave you alone. He will not do anything to you. And Krishna then goes ahead and declares to everybody that because I have now played in the Yamuna, I have completely immersed myself and played around here. The water now in the Yamuna will not only be not poisonous, but will actually become sweeter than it was ever before. So he blesses Yamuna with that, with those words. And with that, this narrative of Kaliya ends. And from this narrative, we can see clearly one thing is the existence of the universal being. You see, if many of us, when we grow up in life, when we go through education, we get exposed to so many responsibilities, we are told so many things by others, we forget the fact that there is the existence of a universal being who is higher than all of us. And unfortunately, in today's education system, we also get exposed to so many theories, which are just the speculations of so many different people, right? Because of which there's no space given for accepting the existence of a higher power or a higher personality, a higher consciousness. But our scriptures, the Indian knowledge system, the Bharatiya Jnana Parampara, always, I mean, everywhere, not only in one place, not only in the Bhagavatam or the Bhagavad-Gita, but everywhere, reminds us that we are not the only living beings in this universe. This universe is populated by so many living beings, and connecting all of them is one universal being, which is also referred to as Bhagavan. Sri Bhagavan, also called as Brahman, Paramatma, Ishvara, etc. So this knowledge becomes evident again in the narrative of Krishna and Kaliya, how Kaliya being so powerful, uh, nobody can imagine taking on a creature like this, but Krishna in his small childlike form takes him home with so much comfort and reminds us that he is there. He is very much present. And he will be there when dharma is violated, and he will restore dharma again. So this is a important lesson from this narrative, this reminder, and this is something that we should constantly remember every day. Um, Second thing is, you see, the universal being is not someone to be feared by us. It is to be feared by people like Kaliya. People who do wicked things, they should fear him. People who are offensive, people who do ugly things to others, people who harm others, people who are jealous of others, people who cannot allow others to be happy. Such people should fear him. But all the others in this narrative, you will see the Gopas, the Gopis, Krishna's parents, everybody else looks at Krishna with love, and that is what he wants. He wants us to develop that purity in us by which we can see him in love. We are able to see him in love only when we have purity. Otherwise, we have to see him through the lens of fear only. So this is the second learning that we get from the Kaliya story. And listening to the story and connecting with Krishna in this manner, actually, like I said in the beginning, purifies our consciousness. It makes us feel, yes, we have a goal in life. We have something to aspire for. Our aspiration in life is not just to make some money and become wealthy and live in a big apartment, have big cars. It's not just that much. That's trivial compared to this. The higher purpose in life is to realize this, is to develop this realization of that universal being, of how Krishna is controlling everything. Everything is happening by his free will, and how and explore how we can develop that loving relationship with him. So we end this narrative, and you can see how what we hear in this narrative is closely connected to what we read in the Bhagavad Gita. So we will continue to read from the Bhagavad Gita. We actually completed the first 6 shlokas in the 15th chapter until the last session. Today we read from the 7th shloka onwards. We will do 3 shlokas today. In the 7th shloka of the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Bhagavan is saying this. He says, Mamaivamsho jiva loke, jiva bhutas sanatanaha, manashashtan indriyani prakritisthani karshati. So earlier in the 15th chapter, he has spoken about the material nature or material existence as an inverted Ashwatha Vriksha, people tree. And he said that Material existence is something that's not to be nurtured forever, but it's something that should be chopped down with the sword of knowledge. And he encourages Arjuna to think about material nature as something that should be chopped down. And he says, after doing that, one should aspire for that personality, referring to himself in third person, who is beyond material nature and from whom all happiness comes. Pure knowledge, pure happiness, and eternal existence comes. Okay, now he says, all living beings are my parts. Mama eva amshaha. Mama eva amshaha. All living beings are my own parts. Jiva bhutaha sanatanaha. Eternally, not just in this particular lifetime, but always, eternally. Sanatanaha means eternally, they are my amshas. But how is it that they don't know this or they don't remember this? Even though they are my parts, most of them don't think it is so. They don't accept it. Right? Only a few of them are even aware of it or accept it or are willing to accept it. He says that's because of their attachment with material nature, which happens through their senses. Manaha shashtani indriyani prakritisthani karshati. So the jivatma, that is each of us living beings, in this material existence is attached to those senses. We have various types of senses, of which five of them are called the jnanendriyas. The five jnanendriyas. I'll just explain what they are in a moment. These five pancha indriyas, pancha jnanendriyas, along with the mind is considered the sixth sense, the sixth among the jnanendriya. It's not called a jnanendriya, it is attached to the jnanendriyas, and therefore it's considered as the sashtam indriya. So manas shashtani indriyani, along with the mind, it is six indriyas. Prakritistanis, in this material existence. Karshati means the jivatma drags these six senses along with it as it moves from one body to another body, or carries these six senses along with it. The Jivatma, which is an eternal part of me, carries along with it in material existence the six senses, including the mind, which are material by nature. Shariram yad avapnoti yadchapyutkramatiishvaraha grihitvaitani sanyati vayur gandhani vashayat. So adding to what he said in the last shloka, he says, as the Jivatma leaves one body, and exits one body and acquires the next body, it carries the mind and six senses with it. Just like the wind which is moving, it carries various smells with it, right? It makes contact with different types of objects. For example, it may pass through a kitchen. The wind which is passing through a kitchen will carry the smell of that kitchen with it. It passes through a forest. That forest has got certain types of smells in it. If it's a sandalwood forest, the pleasant smell of sandalwood would go with that wind. If it's some burning a forest which is having a fire in it, then the smell of that smoke will go with that wind. So, in this manner, the wind carries with it various types of smells from their sources, the sources of those smells. So, in the same manner, the jivatma, which is here the wind, which is the analogous to the wind, carries with it the, the different senses in the mind from the bodies it exits to the bodies it occupies. From one body to another body, the jivatma carries the six senses in the mind with it. So in a given birth, the senses are used to certain kinds of activities. The mind is conditioned in a particular manner. And that conditioning and that habituation goes with the jivatma into the next body. And that is why sometimes we see, uh, right from a young age, a child displays certain types of tendencies, certain types of talents, orientations, right? Just today, just before this class, one of the alumni, one of my former students of XLRI, now the alumni meet is going on. It's just concluded today in XLRI here. So he had come to the campus. He passed out of XLRI in 2017. And so last 7 years, he's been doing various things. So we spoke about what he has been doing in his career. And he's had a very unconventional career. He's been organizing sports event in a big scale, like huge marathons. And he's been also running an NGO, which tries to supply, bicycles to girls in rural schools so that they can commute to school comfortably by um, by getting these bicycles from the higher class families. So he's been doing various things. And I asked him, what is the source of your energy? You got tremendous amount of energy. The way he was describing to me, I could make out that not anybody can do this. Most people can't do what he's doing. But he told me that since my childhood, I'm like this. I always have taken up so many different initiatives. When he was in college, he was the general secretary, the student union leader there. He took part in the college politics. So he's been through so many different things in life. In XLRI too, when he was in my class, I remember in my BM class, he was very active. He was telling me about my running. He used to advise me on my running. He himself is a marathon runner. So I said, this is a very unusual that the kind of things you're doing. And he's also able to earn money through whatever he's doing. He's not just spending somebody else's money. He's earning his own money. He's earning very well. So he's worked out business models around the interest that he has. Okay. So where does it come from? It comes from his past life, as I can see it, right? It's not something that people can be trained with. I asked him, how did you get this? Is your father also like this? His father is not like that. His father is just like many of us, right? Done a good job. He's an IIT graduate. He's been in a very good career, but he is nowhere like his son is. His son is exceptionally different. So so he was sharing all this, and I could clearly see the connection between what the Gita says to us. You carry from one life to another life. These things are sometimes not trained by anybody. You carry it forward and you learn these and accumulate them across lifetimes. When the Ishvara, the Jivatma, which governs the mind and the senses, attains a new body, as well as when it exits that body, it moves, taking the mind and the senses along, just as the air moves, taking with it various smells from the respective sources. श्रोत्रं चक्षुस्पर्शनं च रसनं घ्राणमेव च अधिष्ठाय मनश्चायं विषयानुपसेवते. So now Sri Bhagavan lists what those six senses are. He says Shrotram means the sense of hearing, Chakshuhu, the sense of seeing, Sparshanam, the sense of touch, Rasanam, sense of taste, and Granam. Granam is a sense of smell. So these are our five Jnanendriya. Jnanendriya means knowledge acquiring senses. Adhisthaya manaschayam. So having occupied them or having taken refuge in them, along with the mind, manascha, sixth sense, vishayan upasevate. He experiences, upasevate means experiences or enjoys and suffers or enjoys and takes pleasure in vishaya, indriya vishaya. Vishaya means the objects of the senses. For example, sight is object of the sense of sight, uh, sound, sense of hearing, taste, sense of taste. Similarly, uh, touch, objects, different physical objects, and smell. So all these are the objects, upasevate, experiences. So Sri Bhagavan sums up by saying that as the Jivatma moves from one body to another body, carrying with him the mind and the senses and the tendencies that have been developed with those mind and senses, he experiences the world. And that is how these tendencies build up. Through our experiences, our tendencies become either weaker or stronger. If we have a good experience with something, our tendency to do that same thing again will increase. If we have a bad experience with something, then our tendency to do that again may decrease, right? Or we may want to try it again to see if we can have a better experience. So our tendencies are affected by the experiences that we have. And through these experiences, we build up our attachment to this material existence and continue that existence. Taking refuge in the respective senses of hearing, sight, touch, taste, and smell, and the mind as well, the Jivatma experiences the objects of the senses. So here, Sri Bhagavan gives us a neat explanation for why is it that certain types of tendencies exist and why. Because of all these things, ultimately, we are not able to connect with our spiritual nature. We are able to connect with our spiritual nature only when we turn inwards. Okay, all of these things actually engage us outwards of ourself, away from ourself. But if we are able to engage these things within ourselves, look into ourselves. For example, we can use our tongue for doing japa of Sri Bhagavan's names. Now, that would be a good use of that sense of speaking. That's called a karmendriyam, our mouth. Similarly, our sense of smell. The sense of smell is engaged in articles of worship. like the incense used to worship Sri Bhagavan, or you can say the chandana used to offer to him, the flowers offered to him, which we receive as prasadam. Our eyes are used to see him, see his deity, or to read the Shastra. Our ears are used to listen to the Shastra. So, in this way, if we are able to engage those senses in spiritual activities, in activities which turn us inwards, then our material existence gets chopped off. That's the meaning of saying, destroy this Ashwatha Vriksha. In the beginning of this 15th chapter, destroy this Ashwatha Vriksha. How do we destroy the Ashwatha Vriksha? By engaging all these senses, which are now absorbed in matter, which are now completely absorbed in matter, by absorbing them in Sri Bhagavan, by turning them towards Sri Bhagavan, who is within ourself. So, turning our attention to ourself and turning our attention to Bhagavan is in the same direction. Both are in the same direction. And by doing that, we are able to chop that material existence and discover our true happiness. This path that the Bhagavad-Gita is giving us, along with the Bhagavatam, is a path of discovery of happiness, the happiness that resides very much within us, and living a life that is completely free from stress, anxiety, distress, and with a clear purpose, with a clear goal in mind. So for today, I will stop with these many words, and I would be very happy to hear your questions, your comments, etc. Anybody can feel free to ask questions. Even if you did not come for the earlier classes, it's okay. Please feel free to ask anything that you wish to ask.
Hello, I'm audible, sir.
Yes, Rohit, you're audible.
Yes,
Please
sir.
go ahead.
Hello, sir. Pranam, sir.
Pranam, pranam.
Yeah, sir. So I have a slightly, it's an abstract question, but it's been troubling me a lot. Sir, at certain times when there is turmoil internally, like, and with this is with respect to people, like let's say relationships, any sort of relationship, and I don't know what the right thing to do is. How do I deal with this, sir?
The practical answer to your question would be to go and speak to somebody who is very mature, whom you can trust, like an elder or any friend of your own, patch. Somebody whom you can trust will be able to understand your feelings and your confusion. Normally, it's just like this. When we say that if a doctor is sick, the doctor who can cure thousands of other people, when that doctor himself falls sick, then he doesn't cure himself. He has to depend on some other doctor to cure him. Correct?
Right.
Yeah. So in the same manner, uh, even though we may be very normally very intelligent, we may be very capable of logically thinking out solutions to our problems. But sometimes when we ourselves are in a very confused state because of some whatever reason, then it's always better to talk to somebody whose mind is calm, whose mind is clear, who can think clearly, and who can understand what we are saying, who are mature, who have the maturity to listen to us patiently and give us an appropriate advice. Listen to their advice and then think of how to follow their advice. That's the best way to resolve this.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
Yes, yes. So decide, for each of us, that could be a different person, right? For somebody, so and so is a trustworthy person, but someone else is their trustworthy person. There's no one person which everybody trusts. So, according to whom we feel comfortable with, we should approach that person at this point of time.
Got it, sir. Thank you, sir.
Pranam, sir.
Pranam Sarthak.
Yes, sir. I had a couple of questions. Can you please move to the slide wherein Sri Bhagwan states that Jivatma moves from one body to other and carries
Yeah,
the mind?
yes,
Yes,
here.
yes. Yes, sir. So since you refer to the commentaries also by previous scholars, So I was quite curious that why has the author, I mean, why has Vedavyas Rishi ji used the word Ishvara to denote Jivatma? This is very unusual. I mean, one reason could be to keep it in Anushtup Chanda, but generally Jivatma is also referred as Brahman or I mean, Ishvara word. This makes my mind very much curious. Why is the word Ishvara being used with the Jivatma? Because these two are separate entities. Even in Advaita, Jiva is different and Ishvara is different. So why has Sri Vedvyas Muni used this word?
Uh, the word Ishvara here is used in the sense, see, the word Ishvara in Sanskrit literally means the master, right?
Mhm.
A person who is a governor, the boss, the governor, the owner of something. Like you could be the Ishvara of your land, your property. Suppose you own some property, then you are the Ishvara of that property. You can be referred to as the Ishvara of that property if somebody is describing you in Sanskrit. Ishvara word
Mhm.
need not always refer to Sri Bhagavan.
Okay.
If you are the CEO of your company, then you can be referred to as the Ishvara of your sanstha, that company.
Mhm.
So Ishvara is a general term used to refer to anybody who is a boss in that context, in that circumstance. So in this context here, the the Jivatma is the governor of the mind and the senses. The mind and the senses are going with him. He is carrying them along.
Mhm.
He is the governor of that body. And when he leaves
So,
that body, he is carrying the mind like like somebody leaves one house and goes to another house, they carry all their possessions with them.
mhm.
So mind and senses are like his possessions in the material samsara in existence. So he carries those
so,
things with him.
so, is Jivatma the master or ego is the master? Because from ego arises me and my possessions, and
Ego is
Atma is
yeah,
different
ego
from.
is also a possession. Ego is not a living thing, no. Ego is a
Uh-huh.
material, just like the mind and the senses. Mana,
Hmm.
buddhi, ahankara, indriyam. They're all material items,
Hmm.
padarthas. They're all prakritika padarthas. They are not atma. So ahankara
Hmm.
also is carried along with the mind and senses, although it's not mentioned here. It's part of the
No,
literature.
sir, my question is that uh, does Jivatma govern the mind and senses, or it is the Ahankara, the ego, false ego?
Uh, See, the sense in which it is used here is that
Hmm.
the Jivatma is the ultimate living being. In that sense, it is the master, right?
Right, right,
Now,
right.
how the governance happens, it may happen through the ego, through the intelligence, buddhi. The mind is
Hmm.
controlled through the intelligence, right? It's meant to be.
Right. Yes, 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 yes.
So, so
But
he
from
doesn't go
ultimate
into the,
reality perspective, Jivatma is the truth because
yeah, yeah.
Ahankara is also
So
subtle.
yes, so this is used in a broad sense here.
Hmm.
Now, depending on the particular Jivatma, how that Jivatma is experiencing the samsara, somebody who is very much in control of their mind and senses, then you can say that through the buddhi they are controlling the mind and senses. Somebody who is not in control, the mind and senses are controlling the buddhi, the other way around.
Right,
Correct?
sir. Right, sir.
And their ahankara also is getting controlled by that. So between them, the way they interact, that can change from one person to another person. But in a broad
Yes,
sense in which it is used here, Jivatma governs the mind and the senses. It's a broad meaning.
got it, sir.
They are
Got
like
it.
his
Got it.
possessions.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now it is making sense. Yes,
Hmm.
sir.
And in Advaita, Ishvara and Jiva are not different entities. Even though the word Ishvara is used in the as one of the different levels of realization,
Mhm.
uh, you see, Brahma is the ultimate thing, and Brahma, Ishvara, Kutastha, Jivatma, they are different words used to refer to the same entity. There's only one entity in Advaita. There are no two
Mhm.
entities there. It's only
Mhm. From
different
the ultimate.
conceptions. The conceptions that the entity has,
Right.
Brahman as Jivatma, as Ishvara, as this thing, this is the Advaita understanding.
Right, right,
They are
right.
different conceptions. So there are two different conceptions of the same entity according to Advaita, Ishvara and Jivatma.
Yes, correct, 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 correct. Yes, sir.
But the way that Vishwanath Chakravarti translates this shloka is like the way I've done it here.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Yes. Thank you, sir. Sir, my next question is, hello, am I audible?
Yes.
So my next question is more around Sanskrit. So we begin with Mangala Charana.
Yeah.
So, sir, I wanted to understand the meaning of Mangala Charan. So I can guess that Mangala means something related to auspiciousness.
Yeah.
But what does that mean, Mangala Charan?
Mangalacharana is taking the blessings of Guru and of Sri Bhagwan and our elders, etc.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Sarthak?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
Sarthak, am I audible to you, Sarthak? Sarthak, am I audible to you? No, your video seems to have been frozen.
Sorry.
Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now you're audible. I had lost you
Okay,
a little while back.
okay, okay.
Yes, sir. Can you please repeat the meaning
Yeah.
of Mangala Charan?
Mangalacharan is a set of shlokas or prayers that we say to invoke the blessings of our Guru, of Bhagwan, and other elders, their blessings and well wishes, so that the activity we are doing goes to completion without a hindrance. Suppose somebody is writing a book, or someone is now
Right, right.
teaching a class, or even when you're writing an exam, whatever initiative you start, the initiative should get completed without any obstacles. So to prevent obstacles from coming in the way, to protect ourselves against obstacles, we invoke the Mangalachar. And we do Antya Mangalam also, so that we express our gratitude, and we pray that let there be no obstacles for my future too. So Antya Mangalam is done in that sense.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got it, sir. So I had
So
one more
it's
question.
part of our Samskriti. Bharatiya Samskriti has Mangalacharan always, everywhere.
Right, sir. Right, right, right. Even I attended a wedding recently. So in Maharashtrian weddings, we have Mangalashtaka. So during weddings, so there are 8 hymns which are chanted, and these are devotional hymns to Ganpati, to Sri Hari Vishnu, to Sri Shankara. So that Mangalashtaka. So I thought there could be some similarity between Mangalashtaka, Mangalacharana.
Mm. Nice. You
Sir,
had a question? Yeah.
yes, sir. I had one more question, but it also pertains to our Samskriti. So,
Yeah.
and this is for ma'am also, Jayashree ma'am, if she also wants to comment. So, uh, since while growing up, we are taught in our education system that okay, these are the 7 days of a week: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on. And then in the Hindi class, it is very neatly mapped that Ravivara, Somavara, Mangalavara. And growing up, we feel okay, this is just normal, our equivalents of this week. But then as we grow up, we understand that with culture, things evolve with culture too. So two languages may not have equivalents right since the inception. Some could be borrowed concepts. So I came across some stories wherein basically the Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Islam, Christianity, they all believe in the Old Testament. So there, God is said to have created the earth in 6 days, and on the seventh day, God takes a rest. So that is the Sabbath day. So that is why they declared that okay, Sunday would be a holiday, and 6 days working, Sunday would be a holiday. So now I get okay, we have a periodicity of 7 that is coming in from there. Now I wanted to know that is there any such concept of week mentioned in the Puranas too, or it could have come say through the Mughal invasions or the Muslim invasions
No,
that
no, not
came
at
in
all,
India?
not at all. In our Panchanga, one of the 5 is the Vara, no?
So have we borrowed
Also-
that?
We have not borrowed it. We have not borrowed it from there. They might have borrowed from us. It's there in our Samskriti right from the beginning. The 7 days of the week.
So even in the
Yeah.
Puranas, it is mentioned that
Yeah. Ravivasara. It's there in the Shastra. For example, in the Shastra which guides the formation of the Panjika, the Vasara is mentioned. In Hari Bhakti Vilas, for example, Sanatan Goswami's Hari Bhakti Vilas, which is a reference for my Panjika, he talks about the Vasara in many places.
So,
And,
but that would be somewhere after the Mughal errors, right?
Yeah,
The
but
Muslim
it did not enter our Samskriti there because he cites Shastra from the Puranas. He is not creating the Vasara there. He is citing the Puranas. He cites
So
the
you
Puranas
say
written
that
much before.
Greek system was present even in ancient India before Mughal
Yeah.
invasions too.
Yeah, it's part of our Shastra. It's part of the Vaidika Samskriti.
Okay.
So the
Do
7
you
days
find
of the
any
week.
mentions in Bhagavad Puran of any day, as in Mangalavara or?
I'll find out if any of the Vasaras are mentioned. But uh, definitely in our Shastra, in many places, Vasara is mentioned.
Okay.
Weekday and seven days in a week that is mentioned. It is not a creation of. It's not something that we came from the West to us. It might have gone the other way around, just like the numbers, Roman numerals. They match with our numbers, right?
Arabic numerals, sir.
Arabic numerals. I'm sorry. The Arabic numerals, they match with our numbers.
Right.
So in the same way, uh, so many things from here have gone there, from Sanskrit have gone to the West, which they don't acknowledge because they wanted to, take over the knowledge system in India. They wrote as if, the Aryans came from there and they brought knowledge from the West to here. They wanted to say that this knowledge is not native here.
Right.
They said that we copied from them, but that is not true.
So it can be the case that there was already a Vasara or a Vara system already prevalent in India, and this concept reached the Middle East or Europe, and then there they had their own versions that since 7 days a week, then 6 days got created. I mean, it was the other way around.
Yeah,
The
because there was
story
always
creation.
there was a trade. This world actually has had, it's not that today we are coming towards as together as one globe. Even in ancient times, there are instances when there was interaction across the globe. Okay, there were people who interacted with the Aryans living in India, the Vedic culture living in India, and in the medieval times, we know that India was actually the role model for the world for a very long time, and even as late as the 15th, the 13th, 14th, 15th century, the Europeans were trying to find India, right? Discovering India is considered as a big historical thing. Discovery of India, Vasco da Gama coming to India, all these things are considered as big events in their history. I don't know why they should be mentioned in our history. For us, they are not anything big deal at all. Vasco da Gama discovering India is not a big thing for us because we did not discover India. We are always in India. Our ancestors were always in India. For Vasco da Gama's country, it's a big thing. Correct?
Right, sir.
Not for us.
Right.
So for they wrote like that. They wrote like that. So they came to discover here, and this has been going on in the past too. Just like today, Indians are going abroad to find their fortunes. But those days, foreigners came here to find their fortunes. And knowledge from here went and influenced their ways of thinking. So our knowledge, the Indian knowledge system, the Bharatiya Jnana Parampara is more original than their knowledge system.
Okay. Yes, sir.
So this includes the weekday, the 7 days of the week also.
Right, sir. Right. Thank you, sir. These were all I
Yeah, so
had.
Jayashree has something to say. Let's hear what she has to say.
Yes, in one of the Sanskrit classes, whatever I've heard about Mangalacharan, I thought I'll share. I mean, it's an additional point to what you have said. The Mangalacharan also helps the author to keep his ego under check. In a sense, he acknowledges the presence of his guru, the Devata, the Bhagava before him, and keeping them in front of him, he is composing whatever he is composing. So his ego is always under check. So that is another intention of writing the Mangalacharan always first.
Yes, ma'am. That is a good insight.
Yeah, and regarding that, this Vara, no? I mean, the days of the week that you
Yes,
asked.
yes.
In one of the Sanskrit classes, I remember it was being discussed. I mean, in very basic Sanskrit, we are taught the names of the different different days. So there, it has been there in our tradition. There is I mean, I don't think it has come through any Muslim invasion or anything. The only thing is the names also vary, like Kujavasara, we say Mangalavara, and
Mhm.
some places it's called Kujavara. Then Guruvara is also called Brihaspati Vara, and
Right.
Guru is Brihaspati.
Adityavara, Ravivara. So these names differ. I mean, they are additional names. So the names have been there in our Samskriti.
But is there
But
any mention in Puranas or any
Puranas,
other
I
text,
don't remember.
Ramayana or
Yeah, I don't
Mahabharata?
remember. But I'll keep this in mind when I'm reading, because you raised this
Because
point.
tithis are always present. Tithis are always present. Nakshatras are always present. So Sri Ram was born on so and so tithi. The nakshatra was so and so. All of this is mentioned, but
Yes,
nowhere is the var mentioned that okay, this was the var.
So,
So
yes. No,
Sarthak, I will get you. I'll get you from the Hari Bhakti Vilas, since you are interacting with me on the Panjika anyway. I'll
yes,
show you shlokas from the Hari Bhakti Vilas which I have read, which mention Vasara in them. Like, for example, if Janmashtami falls on a Wednesday, Buddha Vasara,
Mm.
right? Then there is something special. It's called Jayanti,
Okay,
Krishna Jayanti, right? Normally we say
okay,
Janmashtami, but when it falls on a Buddha Vasara, then it's considered to be very special, Wednesday. So that's a shloka not composed, not created by Sanatana Goswami. It's created
okay,
in the Purana. He's just citing it. Hari Bhakti Vilas is just citing from different Puranas, like
okay,
like we cite when we write a research paper.
okay.
So
Yes,
I will send you the shloka. I'll show you the shlokas, specific
sure, sir.
shlokas.
Yeah, thank you. So that means the VARA system is also ours. That is what
Yeah,
my core query was, but now it is addressed.
present in the Panchang, no? Vara is
Hmm.
part of the Panchang, isn't it? It's an important
Yes, sir,
element of
yes.
the Panchanga.
Yes. Got it, sir.
also our life in those days was around the tithi. So, but today it is around the vara. So we are giving more importance to the the 7-day cycle. But in those days it was Amavasya and Purnima which was ruling the life.
Yes.
So vara was not so prominent, but today it is, because we look forward for Sunday and Saturday and the
Yes.
holidays.
Yes. Got it. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.
Hello, yes, Puneet.
There's one question in my mind. Sir, we have discussed it earlier also that when we want to know how our Atma is controlling our body or our senses, we need to have control over mind and all the senses. You tell one practitioner Nam Jap to do Nam Jap, then we can surely know what Atma is desiring or what thing. Any other practice is there available told in the Vedic thing or Shastras?
The Namajap is considered the most effective process in the Kali Yuga, in this age. It's because we are unable to do any other practice as effectively, as easily. The Namajapa is an easy process. It is, of course, as effective in any other yuga also, but in this yuga, we are unable to do any of the other kinds of major practices. Like, for example, let's say yajna. Here, I mean a fire sacrifice, a fire sacrifice done with fire, which actually we see a lot of people doing it, but the way in which it is meant to be done with perfect control over the mind, with that purity with which when you, for example, in a yajna, lighting a fire, today we use a matchbox and light the fire. We put some ghee, we use a matchbox and put some wood and then we light the fire, or we use newspaper. But in the traditional way of doing it, because of their strength of the mind, they're able to light a fire by just chanting a mantra repeatedly. By chanting some particular mantra which is meant for lighting a fire, they're able to light a fire. Okay, but we cannot do that today. That is just a small example to indicate that the nature of our mind, our abilities, etc., has changed over time. It has become much weaker than before. So in the Kali Yuga, doing japa is still very much possible for us. And japa is so easily done. It's so easy to do and sustain over a period of time, and also very powerful at the same time. It's also a very powerful meditation, japa meditation. It instantly gives benefits. It makes the mind very calm. It develops that realization of the universal being of Sri Bhagwan being a reality. Until then, for us, it's just theoretical. Now, there are practices which complement it. For example, living a very clean life, practicing cleanliness in life, keeping our surroundings very clean, the body very clean, getting up very early in the morning, getting up at say 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning and doing japa at that time instead of doing japa in the afternoon. You can do in the afternoon also, but if you do it in the morning, then the effect is many times more. The power is many times more. So many supporting practices are there to sort of enhance the effect of that meditation.
So, but how
Japa is
to,
the principal process.
but then how to distinguish that the desire is coming from the atmic side or that mind or senses from senses side?
The thoughts come in the mind. The basic desire, you can say the root of the desire is from the Atma. The desire originates from the Atma, Icha. Atma has one of the gunas of the Atma is Icha. It has a ability to desire. It's one of the properties of the Atma. And what we experience of the desire is the thoughts in the mind. Because whatever we experience now happens through our mind, right? Both the internal world and the external world. When I say the external world, I mean all the objects outside, our senses, whatever we see, hear, etc. And when I say internal world, it means our self, our original self. For both of them, right now, it is only through the mind. The mind is the medium through which we experience both of them. And the mind works through its thoughts. Correct? Ultimately, everything boils down to thoughts and associated emotions. Around those thoughts are the emotions which actually form out of those thoughts. Right? Thoughts and emotions go together.
Thank you, sir.
Does it address what you had in mind?
This is just one simple question. Let's suppose I want to go at one pilgrimage page and never been to that place. That thought is coming from my the material surrounding which I've seen the people going there, or it's my internal thought because of doing Nam Jap. That is what kind of condition it is.
It could be either. It could be either. And to answer this question, you have to reflect within and introspect. That's why introspection plays a role to sort out these doubts. Is this motivation coming from my spiritual inclinations, or is it coming from a craving to enjoy something material? Because we are driven by both. Of course, I would say both only for people who are also spiritually inclined. But somebody is not spiritually inclined, then there's only one thing. That is
Right.
their material cravings, right? So for them, they will never get this doubt. But you're getting this doubt because you also have a spiritual side to you. You want to explore the spiritual side. You want to also have a bit of that in your life. So now this doubt comes, whether it's coming from my spiritual inclination or is it coming from a material craving. So there you have to deeply introspect and say, why do I want this? What if I didn't have it? What if I don't do it? Right? Then what will happen? So as you introspect like that, then the answer comes from inside.
Got it.
It's not
Thank
the
you.
activity itself, it's about what motivates the activity.
Mm. Thank you, sir.
That's what I try to do whenever this kind of a doubt comes in my mind. I try to introspect and try to resolve it like that.
Pranam, sir. Sir, just had a very basic question.
Yes,
And I don't know if it's actually coming a bit late, but in terms of so many sessions already have happened. But sir, when we use the term Shri Bhagavan, does it specifically refer to Lord Krishna, or is it more of a general term for let's say the supreme consciousness or whatever we want to call it?
yeah. So the understanding is that there is only one universal consciousness. And now we are talking about him in the form of Krishna. So he manifests that universal consciousness. I'm using he, the word he, but it can manifest as a female also, like Mother Durga, for example. So that universal being manifests itself according to the mood of that person with whom who is approaching it. Okay, so it could be in the form of Shiva, it could be in the form of Durga, it could be in any form that, or we say Brahman sometimes, the word Brahman, because many people like to approach that universal being as something that's not a person, but some huge consciousness. It's a huge, infinite consciousness. So the word Brahman means huge, massive, right? So the word Brahman is used to describe that same being whom we are referring to as Krishna, as Bhagavan. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Sir, Shri Bhagwan, then in this, I mean, so basically Shri Bhagwan refers to that consciousness itself, right? Or
Yes, yes, that being, yes, the same being, yes. That same being.
understood. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So there is in our you see, unlike what people say, Hinduism is so many gods. Sometimes there are jokes we see on the on the social media or something. Hinduism has got 33 crore gods and things like that. So all that is just loose kind of a thing. But the reality is, if you see the Veda, the Upanishad, they all talk about one universal being. There is unity. There's one universal consciousness. There's one universal being with one all-encompassing consciousness, and we are all a part of that. Each one of us is a part of that universal being, and different people understand that being in different ways. And that is why different names, Krishna, Rama, and so on, are used. And that universal being takes these different forms. Okay, now in the Bhagavatam describes that the form of Krishna, it focuses on that form of Krishna and describes that form of that universal being as the original form. And so we are in that orientation. But in some other place, the form of Shiva might be described in the same manner, that the form of Shiva is the root of everything. Like in, for example, Linga Purana, it describes like that, which is perfectly fine. According to the Shraddha of that Bhakta, it provides a means to approach that universal being in that manner. It makes it convenient for that person to approach that universal being in that manner, which is perfectly fine. There's no dispute. There's no dispute in this. There's no conflict.
Understood, sir. Thank you so much.
ॐ स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यो शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dhanyavadaha. I have a small announcement to make. The next Sunday, I will not be able to take the class because I am traveling outstation on Sunday. So we will skip one class and then we meet again on the Sunday after that, which is the 22nd of December. So I wanted to keep you informed. So thank you for joining today's class. Dhanyavada.